Hi! Welcome to Zusy Lei. Today I want to show you the side of me that creates. I am a cross stitcher. It's my main creative outlet, I guess. And I do love a lot of others like crochet and knitting and I'm sure there's more. I like to dabble. I kind of like to try a lot of things, but I've also learned that I really just like to stick to a few things that I know really well, and cross stitch is like my main squeeze. So I wanted to show you projects that I am currently working on and like the variety of what it is that I do. This first one is part of a series. It's a monthly series, so they are called, it's a calendar girl series, and they all have girls like this and the month. And then there's features that are different throughout them, but May is the one that I am currently working on. It's the one that I take places, like if I'm sitting in a meeting or waiting for somebody or watching a movie, depending. This is the one that I go because it's little and easy to take. So that's this one. It's a sweet little style, and I guess more primitive than most of the things that I work on. Primitive's not a bad thing. It's just this category of cross stitch patterns that are like have that more old-fashioned sense to them, which is by no means not a bad thing. The next two things I'm going to show you are perhaps still within the realm of a cross-stitch piece that most people are familiar with when they think cross-stitch. One, it looks like this. It's an under the sea scene with these super adorable everything, really. I love the little submarine, but this ray is really, really cute. And right now I'm working on here where the turtle is. Right there. That's what he looks like right there. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking this out so you can't see the whole thing. But you can see most of it. Oh, you can't see the ray. He's like so cute. But I am working on the turtle right now. This project is what we call a temperature project. You may be familiar with it on projects like I think the first time I heard about it was actually crochet, where you crocheted a blanket and each row was a color corresponding to the high temperature of that day. So by the end of the year, you have 365 rows, and the color depends on the temperature. So you usually have a color range. You can make up your own color range, but I made mine to be all jewel tones. They look like that. That's a terrible way to show the colors, but that's what they look like. And each color has like 3 or 4 different temperature range. So like 33 to 35 degrees. If that's the temperature, then that's what I stitch. So I'm doing a bookshelf because why not? It's a bookshelf. How could you not do that? So each month, or each shelf is 1 month. So January starts over here. January 1st, and then it goes all the way through, and then February 1st, and it goes all the way through. So I have January, February, March, April, and May finished. Obviously, I'm a little bit behind since we're now definitely not in May, and that's okay. So you can see that these are the cooler temperatures. The darkest purple has definitely, it was cold. And then the hottest color here, that means any temperature over 96 degrees and above for me. Where I live, that's what makes sense. Is the darkest purple is below freezing, and this darkest red right there is over 95 degrees, 96 and above. So this is a really fun project because it does, like, it's just this snapshot of where I live here. And there are these open spaces. Those will get filled in later with non-book items. I'm just not there yet. The next category that I'm going to show you, or this next project, lives in a category that in the cross-stitch community we call fancy ladies. It's not just one designer that does this. Like anything, it's not just one designer, but they're fancy ladies. You're gonna see. I'll show you the picture of her. That's what she looks like. I mean, fancy lady, right? I love this category. I don't necessarily love everything that's in them. I love the variety that's within this category. There's another designer that I really, really love, and his fancy ladies are like, he's a Philippine designer, so he does a lot of fancy ladies inspired by the culture, the folklore, the ideals of the Philippine culture, and uses elements from it, and they're just stunning works. I love them so much. One thing that helps these be fancy ladies is that the materials they use isn't just your regular floss. They use like variegated floss, which is floss with multiple tones of colors in it, or shades of colors. It's not just one straight color. They can also use silks. They can use, instead, the basic floss is a cotton floss, so silks are more expensive. Getting a variegated dyed floss is more expensive. Like, there's some like shiny threads in there, like metallic threads, there we go, or beading. So there's a lot of ways to make a project fancy. It's not just that the picture is of a lady with this ornate gown. It's also the materials that they use. So that's what mine looks like right now. And in these leaves, the leaves are an example of that variegated floss. Like, they look like they're different colors, but it's one floss. They are different colors. They look like they're different flosses, but it's not. It's just one floss. And then these colors up here, it's hard to show the shine on them, but they have a metallic in with the floss color to make it shiny. Same with down here. So that's a category we call fancy ladies. The biggest category of things that I stitch on is something called full coverage. And it's mostly artwork that began as an artist's art. And then it got charted as a cross-stitch pattern. So it's like taking a piece of art, breaking it down into hundreds of thousands of little pixels, and then each of those little pixels are assigned a floss color, and then you stitch it, and it creates this magnificent piece of art that you are now very, very intimately acquainted with. So I have 4 to show you that I've been working on, and they're all a little bit different, which is why I want to show you them. This one is a fun one. This artist, his name is Randall Spangler, and he is very, very well known for his little dragonlings. All his artwork, I'm pretty certain all his artwork, maybe not all of them. The majority of his artwork has dragonlings, and this one is just so, so, so cute. It's called Bubble Bubble Chocolate Trouble. And so this is artwork of Randall Spangler that was then taken by a company, in this case Heaven and Earth Designs. They took that artwork. It's licensed, so he gets royalties or however that works out. That's a side that I don't totally know about, but they license his artwork to chart it and then sell it to people like me who then stitch it. So this whole picture has been converted into like 350,000 pixels, which then becomes the little stitches that you stitch. And it's not very exciting to look at right now because it's only like 3% finished, but that's what this then looks like. Okay, so this is like the tree in this corner over here. So full coverage is, there's just something about it that I really, really love. And I do know that it's not something that everybody loves working on because it is a lot. They're big. There's a lot of stitches in it compared to something like this. There's a lot of stitching. There's a lot of floss involved, a lot of different colors. But it's so fun to work on. Not all of them have a lot of colors. This is one that it's not going to look like very much at all, but this chart definitely speaks to me. I love this view of like being down on the canopy floor like in a forest and just looking up and seeing everything just go up and go to a point, in this case a heart. But this only has 10 colors. Look at like that picture is going to have all of that detail with just 10 colors. So it's very different from all of any of my other full coverage pieces because there's just 10 colors, but it's very fun and it's hardly started. So the only reason I'm showing you this little is that it does only have 10 colors. It just has a very different feel to work with just 10 colors on a full coverage piece, but know that it's going to turn into this amazingness. Here's one. This is called Queen of the Night. This is artwork by Josephine Wall. Josephine Wall is a pretty well-known artist, especially if you do puzzles at all. A lot of her artwork has also been made into puzzles, but she's pretty iconic for this feel to her artwork. This one's called Queen of the Night, and she's just really pretty. She's bringing on, you can see that this is the light part, but behind her is where all the night is, and the moon is here and it's shining. And she's got all of these like little details down here. I love it. I love that. Like, I will never be an artist like these artists It is not in my wheelhouse, but in a way I can do it because I can paint with thread. Like I'm still just following a pattern, but by the end of it, I'm going to have like this joint partnership with this artist. Like, they've done this amazing work to create the art in the first place, and now I am coming along and adding my part to it and adding my effort. And when it's done, I'm going to have these works on my wall that wasn't just my effort, but like I did that too. And I love it. I love that I can have a very direct hand in the making of the things that like make my house mine, that make it my home, that brings like this beauty and pleasure to life. I love it. So, granted, this actually isn't going to be on my wall. This is going to a very, very dear friend. But this one's a little further done, so you can see like quite a bit more of it. La, look at the moon. It's big. Like, here's my hand. It's a big moon. But this is looking so beautiful. Can you see now how like the last one I showed just had it, that was just like 300 stitches. It was hardly anything. But you can see here, this is like 20% finished. And you can see how it just creates this fantastic work of art. I love it. And this is what all the floss looks like for a piece like that. It uses, I don't know how many colors, like 90 maybe, something like that, 90 different colors, a lot of blues, but not just blues. So I really can't tell you how much I love full coverage, because like I love a lot of different cross stitch styles, and I have more projects besides just these ones that I'm not showing you today that would show you more of what it is that I do stitch. But I do spend so much of my time stitching the full coverage pieces that it really is something that I have to like show to you guys, because I just love it so much. This last one that I'm going to show you is the most stunning one of them all. I'm just going to say it. It's, if you thought any of these other full coverage pieces were large, you're not going to think that after you see this next one. It's an artwork that looks like this. It is called Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. It is artwork by Amy Stewart. And you may have also seen her works in puzzles. She has a lot of her art in puzzles like Josephine Wall does. But if you can see, she's got all of these details. And if I were to do it on a size like this, I would miss out on a lot of the details. And like up here, you can't even see it in this picture, but there's a little tiny spider web up here. You can't see it unless you stitch this piece in the size that I'm stitching in it, which is what we call super size. It is ginormous. And I can't show you the full thing today, but I will show you what I can show you. have to get all the way back here to show you the whole thing here. This is the second shelf. So you can see up here it's rolled up. That would be the whole first shelf. This shelf. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've already stitched all of that first one, and I'm just working on the second one right now. And like, look at that detail that you get. Like, look at this fox, and look how tiny the fox is. He's like an inch tall. I don't even think he's an inch, actually. And you've got this little girl right here, a princess. This is obviously where I'm working right now. But it's crazy, like, he's a little fox. He's so tiny. That's the kind of stuff I love, and I love to work on this kind of art and to see all of those details come to life. This piece particularly has a lot of like special meaning to me because it reminds me of what all the treasures that you find in reading. It's not just the stories. It's not just like there's magic in books, and I think the magic isn't just what the storyline is, but it's how it can change and affect us as a person. It helps us to see things that we didn't maybe see before. It can help us see the world in a different way. It can help us understand people who think differently than us. It can help us look at a situation that we're struggling with and see it in a new light, or to be able to process something that's happened to us that like we're struggling with. There's so much magic contained in books, and it's like hunting for treasures at times, but couched in these stories that grab us and pull us in. So it's almost like we learn these things unintentionally almost. They just come to us or just give us thoughts that we don't actively think. It's kind of like how we learn how to talk is we hear it so often. We hear language so often that we just start talking. Or we see people walking and then we start walking. I think reading stories is like that, is that we get all of these things without consciously realizing that we're getting those things. And then we start seeing the connections and we start having all this like change happen within us. So that's why this piece in particular is very special to me, and why I'm willing to spend years working on this piece is because of that magic, because that magic is a part of who I am and a part of why I am a reader. And I can't wait for this to just be finished and be up on the wall, and every time I see it I'm going to remember, like I'm going to connect with it on so many levels, not just because of the meaning of this piece and the magic for me, but also knowing that I stitched all of this. Like I put in all of that time, all of that effort into creating this masterpiece that's going to hang on my wall for years and years and years and years and years and years. So that's what I have to show you about cross stitching today. I hope that you enjoyed this. I didn't really know how to like present my stitching to you in a way that didn't get bogged down into details that you might not care about, but could still show you some of the differences of the different kind of cross stitches, and especially these full coverage, like why I connect to it so much. So I hope to be able to come back in future months and kind of like how I come back and talk about my books and what I've been reading. I hope to be able to come back and show you like my projects sometimes and like what I've done with them and just share that creative part of myself with you. So leave me a comment if you are also a cross stitcher, or if you have you show your creativity in a different way. Maybe you draw or can sketch, or even coloring. I've seen people who can like colored pencils and do amazing things. Watercolor, or weaving, or what woodworking. Authors, I think if you write, that's amazing poetry. There's so many ways that you could be creative, and I want to hear about them. So leave me a comment and we can chat about our creative endeavors. Much love to you all. Bye.